Hey, so this is my American Experience project on Isaac Morley. He's my fourth great grandpa, and I will be interviewing my mom. So, hope you enjoy it.
Isaac Morley was my third great grandfather on my father's side of the family. He was born in Massachusetts, Montague, Massachusetts, in 1786, and later in 1812 he married his first of three wives, Lucy Gunn. 3 days after he married Lucy, he moved her into a small cabin in the middle of the woods all by themselves, and he left to go fight in the War of 1812. She then stayed in that cabin by herself for 6 months. He joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1830, and he was baptized by Parley P. Pratt. Parley P. Pratt is the one who introduced him to the church and taught he and his family, after which they were baptized. And then their journey began, um, moving on towards the west from there. Isaac Morley owned an 80-acre farm outside of Kirtland, and on that farm he allowed Joseph Smith and his wife to live with them from March to September in the year of 1831. He also invited many other saints to um, homestead on his property. At one point, he sold his farm, and the money was then used to purchase land to build the Kirtland Temple. Isaac Morley also had a small town that was named after him. It was called Yelrom, which is Morley spelled backwards. That town is no longer in existence, nor are any of the buildings that were on his proper 80-acre farm. None of those buildings exist still. However, the Chillicothe Trail that many people came west on went through that property. So it has been passed by many times by people who are moving west to find better things. Isaac Morley left in 1848, left to come west with the saints. They left because of the I can't think of the words I'm wanting to say, because of the trials that they had with people who were against the church and were against the people of the church, and the mobs, and so they came to be able to have the freedom of religion.
What were some of the trials they had with being in a new land?
At one point, while they were living in Manti, though most of the time the Indians were very friendly, and they didn't have a lot of problems with them. At one point, Manti was surrounded by 500 warriors, and the Chief Wakara, which I think they call him Chief Walker at one point, demanded Hannah's child, Simeon, get handed over to them, and if they didn't, then they were going to um, burn the city and kill the people. And so they handed over the child, and the though they were scared for their child, they knew that it was something that they needed to do, and they spent all night in prayer and fasting and worrying about him. And the next day, Chief Walker returned Simeon to them, saying that your squaw was sad and he needed his mom. The baby needed his mom, and he was returned to her. However, he was all dressed in Indian clothing, down to the fact that they had stained his skin darker to match the tribe. But they had their prayers answered during that time, that their child was returned to them safely.
What are some things about Isaac Morley that you are proud of or that have influenced you in your life?
I think proud, I would have to say the fact that he was highly respected amongst the early saints, and he was known as Father Morley because they all respected him that much. What we have, I feel like, has been his legacy, or part of his legacy, is one of his things that he brought across the plains with him that was most treasured by him is his violin. And that what I feel like has been carried down is the legacy of music in our family, and how so many of our family members play instruments, sing, or have kept music a part of their lives over all the generations.
Well, I'm like extremely inspired right now because, my fourth great grandpa played the violin and I play the violin, so it must just be in my blood. Thanks for watching. I hope that made some sense to you, at least. And see you later.